Growing up, I was a huge fan of professional wrestling. I was mostly a WWF kid, but I enjoyed some WCW from time to time. In terms of personal favorites, I was a pretty basic bitch, with Bret Hart still being my all-time favorite. However, like every kid that grew up in the 90s, it was fucking next to impossible to not be a fan of the Texas Rattlesnake himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin. The man doesn't need an introduction either. If you're watching this video, chances are you already know who the toughest SOB on the planet is. His popularity and reputation precede him, and I'm not gonna insult your intelligence otherwise. The man is so legendary that one of the few times an actor was used in a wrestling promo, it actually turned out really good. I'm referring to the masterful Will Sasso parody with Chris Jericho. If you haven't seen this bit, I'll have it linked below for you to check out. Some will probably argue that Stone Cold didn't have a lot to do with the actual promo itself, but I would actually argue that if Stone Cold wasn't instrumental in this promo, I don't think it would have turned out as great as it did, because a couple years later, Will Sasso would attempt the exact same thing, this time utilizing Hulk Hogan, and it really didn't stick.
No! These are my people! This is the WWE Universe! I speak their language!
With WrestleMania getting announced to be in Texas next year, an event that I'm fucking planning on attending, I couldn't help but get excited and started looking up some vintage Stone Cold Steve Austin websites from the 90s and early 2000s. Some of the early stonecold.com websites would actually surprise you because it's not what you would expect it to be. However, it's still, like, in a weird way linked to professional wrestling and professional fighting, which may not have been intentionally trying to cash in on his name. So today we're going to be taking a look at the earliest official stonecold.com website that's still accessible and still somewhat usable today, but we're also going to be taking a look at the very first stonecold.com, which has fucking nothing to do with Stone Cold. Hope that your nostalgia senses are ready, because I know mine are. These are the vintage stonecold.com websites. So that we have a frame of reference, the current stonecold.com actually just redirects to a bio page for Steve Austin on the WWE's main website. It's all pretty standard stuff that you're gonna find on WWE's main website when you click on basically any of its former and current superstars. So let's dig into the Wayback Machine and really look at some of the more interesting shit that's available. The earliest known iteration of stonecold.com comes from December 29th, 1996, and as you can clearly see, this has absolutely nothing to do with Stone Cold Steve Austin or the WWE. Instead, we're met with a nice lady known as Genie Hunter, as this was her website at the time. She was a competitive wrestler and boxer for Jadel Dulong throughout the 90s. I'm not going to get into a lot of her background at the moment, because after researching her, I've decided that I'm going to dedicate a full video to her just sometime in the future, and plus, this is supposed to be a Stone Cold video. However, we are still going to take a look at the site and see what they got. So, looking at the main website itself, I feel a bit nostalgic, honestly, kind of looking at it. The background, as well as the Stone Cold Productions logo, it's very Microsoft Painty, and it's very 90s and 90s website of the era. And really, it's a very basic website overall when you're looking at it from face value. You know what's funny is, color-wise, this actually would have fit well with the whole Hollywood Blondes thing if we were looking at Steve Austin and Brian Pillman, but this is clearly way after that era happened. But it is funny to think that if they would have stuck together at this point, I could imagine their website kind of looking at this. Overall, the website's pretty basic, but if we scroll down here, we find some kind of interesting stuff. And we actually have an address listed here. Punching the address into Google brings up, this actually brings up a Western Union in Vancouver, Canada. So anybody wanting to find the Stone Cold Productions main offices, they're gonna have to go to Canada to a Western Union location. But what also is kind of interesting here is we take a look and there's actually a telephone number, which I'm gonna black out just for, because we don't know if this is someone else's phone number right now too. I do find it kind of hilarious that on this website, she has her phone number and address, which today, I mean, you would never see that. Like, that's something with privacy and everything. Now, there is no way in hell you would ever catch anybody putting their fucking phone number on a website. Scrolling back up, we have the table of contents, which is pretty self-explanatory. Kind of goes over the various things in the website. Wow, SCP catalog of products. I just noticed that at the bottom. We're getting to the deepest of lore here. We've officially found the origin of the SCP Foundation. It was on stonecold.com from 1996. But again, we're gonna kind of go over this a little bit more in depth when we cover Genie Hunter in depth. Going a little further, we'll take a look at the archives section. Or Genie Hunter must have been a fucking SCP. We have a catalog here, which is basic stuff, If you click to the next section of her thing in the Wayback Machine for Stone Cold Productions, this actually pops up. Yeah. So it looks like Stone Cold Productions was more or less like a promoter for various wrestling as well as boxing matches, and Genie Hunter was more likely than not just another one of the people that was involved in the company. And the last thing we can look at here is the news section, and it's just more updates on upcoming fights and various home releases of Stone Cold Productions and different fights that they were putting on at the time, which we'll probably go into a little more depth in the future. For clarification, at the time, Steve Austin was officially Stone Cold. He wasn't that lame-ass ringmaster gimmick from the year prior. Although time frame-wise, this is right in between the infamous Brian Pillman segment as well as the Fatal 4-Way match. So Steve Austin was somewhat popular, I just don't think he was popular enough to spawn up these like copycat fucking websites in order to cash in on his name. Now, the site was active for another year until the domain was bought up by the WWF at the time, and it turned into the more traditional stonecold.com you would come to expect. So let's take a look at stonecold.com post Stone Cold Productions after the Texas Rattlesnake had officially arrived.
What fireballs of shit!
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the old WWF websites weren't backed up properly and are mostly in these incomplete states. I can only imagine just how gloriously 90s these fucking websites would have been. However, because they weren't backed up properly, they're lost to the ethers of space and time. Alright, so going back as furthest as we can, though, with stonecold.com, we reach the November 29th, 1999 section of the Wayback Machine that has this amazing fucking Austin 316 gif right in the center, and it mostly resembles a mid-90s fucking website. Considering the fact that this was a November 29th, 1999 website, it could look a little bit better, honestly, but it's not terrible. You can see at this point it was bought by the McMahons because Titan Sports Inc. is the parent company of the WWE, or the WWF at the time. And as you can see here, you got your basic, oh, there's this little fucking middle finger thing. You'll notice with a lot of these Wayback Machines, if you try to click on the links or you hover over the links, it'll kind of screw up. I think it's kind of cool they add the little middle finger bone on the sections you can go to. Let's take bio and photos out. What we got here? Flash. Unfortunately, with the destruction of Flash, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to a certain degree Flash is gone, but how much stuff was lost in the process of that happening without being backed up? That's the real travesty. Maybe we'll cover that some other time. But, so, we've got your basic Stone Cold Steve Austin photos here, if you want your fucking Stone Cold photo. Look at that fucking badass motherfucker right there. That's a man's man. That's how you fucking do it. Let's see what else we got here. The website runs like it's still in the fucking 90s. Looks like that was at the first blood match. You can tell, obviously his face is all bloody and shit. Anytime Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon, had the best fucking facial reactions when it came to anything fucking Stone Cold did. Just watching him just fucking be a complete douchebag to fucking Vince McMahon. Oh, it was amazing as a kid. Yelling at China. Kicking China in the stomach. Yeah, this website was just like, yeah. All right, let's see if we can get a bigger image of this. No, okay, it doesn't work. Who the fuck cropped this? Like, just the skull just like, yeah. Like, clearly the top says hell, and it's supposed to be hell yeah, but it just, you just see this fucking skull, and he's like, yeah. So we got a Stone Cold bio, though. Pretty basic stuff. You can tell this is before the 2000s, because it's not what or anything along those lines. All right, let's see if the merchandise store, there's at least something here we can take a look at. There's different merchandise that he had available at the time. Let's check out live events. We got live events coming up. And it looks like Stone Cold fucking wasn't wrestling at all in February. I'm trying to remember if he was injured at the time, because this would have been February 2000. I got audio, video. The fuck? What the fuck is this? Are these just different videos? Oh, okay. It's just more videos you can download and stuff. All right, let's chat. Can we chat with good old Steve Austin? Oh, okay, no, it's just a chat room. Okay, let's check out the Stone Cold Saloon. Stone Cold Saloon makes use of Shockwave 7 Flash Player and Thing technology. If you already have them installed, click on the doors to enter. If not, download the plugins here. Oh, look at that. What the fuck was WF Things? The fuck was that? Looked like it was just another plugin to Shockwave or something to that effect. Okay. There were Stone Cold games? What? the Stone Cold shooting gallery. And not like the interview shooting. Like they actually fucking look like they shot stuff. Well, it makes sense. It means the Texas rattlesnake, kind of a redneck, goes hunting and shit. Check out latest news. What's the latest news happening with Stone Cold? Smacking the fuck out of Triple H. Awesome was the team choice. Okay. TV team up again. I'm surprised I haven't covered that yet. Not a whole lot of news going on at the time. Let's check out home videos. Funny enough, I had this VHS growing up. That piece of trash. I'm gonna read this. Hold on. Austin 316 Uncensored continues where the first video left off. Give me a oh hell yeah. If you want to see more ass get kicked, okay. That piece of trash JR interviews me. I talk about Shawn Michaels and somebody finally got the brains to put together my greatest hits in Pulp Austin. I wonder, was this when he was a heel? No, because he wasn't a heel. Because he never really called JR a piece of trash. That's kind of interesting. I like how they're talking like Stone Cold's the one that put this fucking website together. It's fucking Stone Cold was not on here. Although it would be funny just to picturing Stone Cold fucking on here. Like in the chat rooms, just having fucking arguments and shit. And I wonder if that you can buy that video still. Maybe we had this one too. I know for a fact we had this VHS. Yeah, my older brother and I were big Stone Cold Steve Austin fans. And from here you can check out the other years, but not really much has changed, save for the different news updates, etc., etc. So that was just kind of a quick look back at some of the old stonecold.com websites. I'll admit it wasn't a super deep dive, but I think that's a bit to be expected when it comes to someone like Stone Cold. A lot of information is actively available to read or watch on the guy, specifically from wrestling bios because they kill it with every single documentary that they do. And I think that's one of the best things about Stone Cold Steve Austin is that his legendary run in the WWF is still talked about to this very day. So being able to take a step back and live the nostalgia of the old Stone Cold website was pretty amazing, I gotta admit. And in the future, we'll do a deeper dive into the original stonecold.com and Genie Hunter. I can't wait to experience that Stone Cold pop at WrestleMania. Because let's be fucking real here, Stone Cold's gonna fucking show up. Keep things light, rebellious, and I'll see you guys next time.